Back in 2008, Ron Kasik approached prayer like any other believer in Jesus. He wouldn't necessarily have thought of himself as a great prayer warrior.
I don't know if I ever prayed more than 15 or 20 minutes.
But that began to change when Ron went with his wife Kathy to a Revive Our Hearts conference. He was pretty much just going along for the ride. But a Revive Our Hearts staff member noticed Ron and asked if he wanted to help fill an important role at this women's conference.
One of the men, I believe it was Jim Lang, had asked me, he said, "Ron, would you like to pray over these women for this conference?"
And this man who hadn't prayed longer than 15 or 20 minutes at a time, he had an unenthusiastic response.
I said, "Yeah, I could do that."
At the start of the conference, Nancy DeMoss Wolgemuth asked the women in attendance to fill out cards and to write their prayer requests.
We collected the cards on that Thursday night, and I remember coming back that Friday morning, and it was just Ed and I up in the room, and he brought the box of cards that had been collected the night before. And the two of us prayed over those cards, and I remember just weeping. I said, "This is such a sacred, solemn time, because we're going to get to pray over what God has put on these women's heart." It's like being on the side listening to a conversation that God had with this woman and said, "This is a need that you're going to put down on this card." And I went, wow. And I just was overwhelmed. I remember being on my knees, and I don't know how long I was on, and it just changed. It changed my whole attitude towards prayer. And I said, this is something I want to be more involved in.
Up until then, Nancy spoke regularly at Revive Our Hearts conferences in churches. But the Lord was moving the ministry in a new direction, calling women together from across the nation. The first nationwide conference like this was True Woman 08. And this much larger conference meant there would be many more prayer requests. And Ron was excited about that challenge.
I'm so thankful for a group of men who have come this weekend at their expense and will be in this facility praying for us throughout the entire weekend. Aren't we blessed to have that?
I remember Chattanooga, Indianapolis, Fort Worth, and then from there on it's hard to describe.
While praying at all these True Women conferences, Ron has seen his passion for prayer grow.
It's made more of a praying person for me. I love it.
This intensive prayer time has affected several dozens of men since 2008.
When you're on your knees with God for 4 or 5 hours, you're in His presence, and it changes you. And it just changes you.
Now, Ron comes across other men who don't think they can pray very well, just like he used to think. But God's using him to kindle a passion for prayer in these men.
There are men that come in there sometimes that I don't know if I can do this. We've had that happen, and we will encourage them. Sometimes we'll lay our hands on men to anoint them for this task because it's strenuous. I remember Billy, we started in the morning, and he just took a deep breath. And he said, "Ron," he said, "I don't know that I've ever prayed any more than 15 or 20 minutes. And by noon, 4 hours later, he said, "This has just been incredible, this time together with God." And relying on God's Spirit to lead you in what to pray for. I can't tell you how many times in a room you can hear weeping because the men will either go off in a corner or sit in a chair. They'll be on their knees in certain areas of the room, and they'll just be in tears, and sometimes they're groaning. Many times you will pick up a card of what God has put on a woman's heart, and you will see yourself there. This is a need. This is a concern. And you can put yourself as a man into that situation. I remember many times I've prayed and said, I'm going through that as well. God, I need that as well. Me, I need it. And that's made a big difference in my life. And even as we pray, I think our prayer time from conference to conference has gotten richer.
Ron and a team of praying men will be at True Woman 16, Cry Out, supporting this event in fervent prayer throughout the weekend.
We're already thinking about how we can begin praying for cry out. And even some of the men have already got in touch with me and said, hey, let's begin to cry out for God to work mightily now. If revival doesn't come, nothing else will matter. But if revival does come,